let's chat. Let's have a catch up. Let's dive into the world of parenting. So if you haven't already seen, I done like a few kind of life updates last year, and they were when I was in a pretty dark place, and they were both titled, I think, "Why is parenting so fucking hard?" Or something along those lines. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't change. Parenting is hard. It always will be, I feel like. If you do have a dream child, good for you. I'm happy for you. I genuinely am. But I feel like a lot of parents will probably relate to a lot of things that I'd said, at least in those previous two videos, which if you haven't seen, I will leave links to in the description and in cards, if I remember. But yeah, so today I'm just gonna kind of follow on from that, kind of tell you where we're at, and just give you a bit of an update on me, a bit of an update on things that are kind of going on that I didn't touch on in my 1 year postpartum update, because that was more kind of physical mental health relating to having had a baby, whereas this one's a bit more kind of general stuff. So firstly, I'll follow on kind of from those last few videos. So a lot of what I spoke about back then was obviously mental health and kind of how Soph was sleeping. So I know they're two completely random things, but I'm going to address them in this video. So my mental health is at a weird place. It is the one thing that I did say about in my postpartum update, and things are kind of the same even now. And I'm just at, I'm at such a weird place where I think a lot of parents kind of get to, especially if you're kind of a stay-at-home parent, you'll kind of get that kind of feeling of losing yourself and kind of almost feeling like you don't really have a purpose. And although you do, you 100% feel like you have a purpose, like you have this dependent or maybe multiple children, they all depend on you for like everything, so you do have a purpose, but at the same time you're kind of like, I'm basically living to wipe someone else's ass and be their snack bitch. Like, great life, cool. So yeah, it's really difficult, because it's not even the not getting time to yourself thing, but it's just that feeling of like, I don't have a job to go out to do to benefit obviously someone. I don't then benefit like financially from it, and things. It's a weird situation to be at. And on the same kind of note, you'll want to do things for yourself, but certain things will obviously stand in the way. So like childcare and money and things like that. So you're like, I can't even do these things that I want to do for myself to kind of make myself feel better and find myself again. I put a post up on Instagram fairly recently, because my husband's currently away on deployment, and I said that I was basically going to use this deployment to kind of find myself, where I don't have someone else kind of hanging around and waiting for me to have a conversation with, and kind of, I don't know, I've got a bit more kind of brain space almost. I'm going to kind of focus that on trying to find myself, but there are obviously a few things that I can't do anything about, so I really want to get my hair done. That ain't gonna happen because I have no money and things like that. But in general, I feel like that's what obviously I want to do. I want to just try and find things that make me happy, and kind of find a purpose again, if that makes any sense. I know that sounds quite sad, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, so that's kind of mental health update, kind of. And then sleep. So since that last video, things have changed significantly. Now, touch wood, they are a permanent thing. Obviously she has her days, she has her weeks. She had a month last month where we all had COVID. It completely messed her up. But for the most part, her sleep has been so much better, like so much better than when I obviously last spoke about it. She will self-settle for most nap times now. There'll be the odd occasion where like her teeth are bothering her, or you know, something is bothering her and she'll kind of need a bit of help with it. but for the most part, I'm not rocking her to sleep for hours on end. I'm not boobing her to sleep while rocking her and then not being able to put her down, because if I do, she'll wake up. So that has been such a game changer, like obviously to her, because it's a development thing, like learning that she can self-settle and learning that it's okay that I'm not there when she falls asleep. I know that's a massive development thing, so that's amazing. But it's also really good on my mental health, because I don't feel like at the end of the day, like, fucking hell, I've literally spent a working day trying to get this child to sleep, and she's just, you know, she doesn't sleep for that long anyway. It was exhausting. So if you are that parent that is currently going through this, like the whole not sleeping and having to be rocked to sleep and just not wanting to be put down when you are asleep, or having to have every nap out in the pram, like, I get you. I think a lot of people do. A lot of people have been there, and I myself had been there as well. Like I say, even to recently, after things had changed, when she had COVID, completely messed her up. The only way she would sleep was in the carrier. So that was back to that exhaustion stage of, like, she's obviously that much bigger now, and heavier, to then only be able to physically carry her. Like, she wouldn't even be put in the pram. It was exhausting. So yeah, that's that kind of updated on. So anything else that's going on? So the one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, that I probably will talk about in depth maybe in another video, but I wanted to kind of mention it on here, is something that I've kind of known about for, I can't maths, 16 years maybe? Over 10 years, we'll put it that way, because I clearly can't maths or add up today. Yeah, so it's something that I've known about for quite a while. Well, I knew I was different, but I didn't really know what it was or anything like that. I just kind of plodded along because of how old I was. So I was around kind of 15 when I first kind of started having struggles with things. And then all these years later, over the last few years, I'd say especially, things have become more and more difficult. Like, every day they are difficult, whether it's because I can't find the words for something, or I get frustrated that the cat's walked out in front of me. Little things that obviously then have had a knock-on effect on our relationship, and like my relationship with Soph, my relationship with the fucking cat, things like that. So basically, I had a bit of a rant on Instagram, as I do quite often. If you're not already, follow me over there. I had a rant on there about kind of all of those things, and I said I don't really know what it means, if it means anything. It's something that, like I say, I've struggled with for years, and I struggle with on a daily basis, and it's becoming worse and worse now in terms of things that I've noticed, things that probably still happened like 15 years ago, but things that are more prevalent now. And yeah, so I mentioned all that, and so many people messaged me and said, don't take this the wrong way, but have you got ADHD? And I just remember thinking, well, no, not that I know of anyway. But it's funny you should say that, because only a year ago my sister was diagnosed with ADHD, and it made me kind of look into it after all those people had said it. And I wrote down this list before I'd even looked into it. I wrote down a list of all the things that were bothering me, that were kind of becoming issues, like those things I mentioned earlier, like getting frustrated at stupid things, not being able to find words for things, being pretty OCD about a lot of things. Like, I could not sit down. Like, the amount of times my husband would be like, Vicky, just sit down, please just sit down. And like, I'd even said to him one afternoon, in fact, I was like, look, let's sit down and we'll watch a film together. The three of us, like, Sophie was playing on the floor, she wasn't really watching, but I was like, let's just put on a film, like a Disney film or something, that we can watch. He was like, yeah, sounds good. And as soon as it started, I walked off and started cleaning. And I was like, what am I even doing? And he's just said to me, he was like, just sit down. And I was like, I can't. I just can't. Like, my brain will not fucking let me. It's not even like it was something that needed to be done. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't washing up that needed to be done or laundry that needed to come out of the machine before it went musty. It wasn't like a quick, oh, I'll just do that quickly and then come sit back down. I was like, I don't know, I was cleaning out here and doing stuff that genuinely did not need to be done. And I was like, what am I doing? What is going on? So I thought, with those things that obviously I'd wrote on this list and all this stuff that people had said to me, I was like, I'm going to do some research myself and kind of see if any of this fits. And between obviously the things that I've noticed more now and the things looking back on that I did 15 years ago, or how I was 15 years ago, it spurred me to phone my GP, because I was just like, I don't really know where I'm going with it, nor what I should say to them, but I feel like I'm at the point now where I just need some help, because, as I say, it's affecting my relationship. Like, I bite at him like all the time, or the way that my brain tells me to say something, it does hurt his feelings, and I recognise that afterwards, but it's not something that I can control, or it doesn't feel like I can control. And also, obviously, it has an effect on my daughter as well, which is just not fair on her. So yeah, so I made that phone call. I said, please bear with me because I don't really know how to put this into words, but basically I've written a list of things that are kind of going on at the moment. Please, can you just listen? So I did. And within like 3 or 4 things, she stopped me. And she was like, do you think you might have ADHD? And I was like, well, yeah. I didn't want to phone you and say, I think I've got ADHD. I wanted you to kind of come to that conclusion anyway. But she said, it just almost sounds like you're reading it off the internet. And I said, I can 1000% assure you I am not. And yeah, so she went through like a few assessment kind of questions with me, and said, like, you score quite high for possibly having ADHD. So I need you to do like a self-assessment referral thing to go along with the referral that I send, so you can have an assessment. So I sent that off. I got it. I picked up the forms in December, mid-December. Naturally, if you have ADHD, then you'll understand it took me weeks to fill out the form because it was so freaking long. It took me weeks, and then obviously it was Christmas and New Year, and I was like, I don't want the papers getting lost, I'll wait till the new year. Went to take it, took it, got a letter back a few days later. Oh, you haven't filled this out. Cool, okay, come get more forms, fill those out, send them back, blah, blah, blah. Obviously we're now April. I haven't heard anything yet, and I don't expect to anytime soon. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I'm currently waiting for an assessment to see if I've got ADHD. Personally, like I say, just looking at everything and researching and things like that, and obviously like family history, like my sister obviously has been diagnosed. I think initially she went for an autism assessment, but she was diagnosed with ADHD. I think her daughter has autism, and my younger brother has recently been referred for autism/ADHD assessment. So it kind of would make sense, and automatically just thinking that that is the case, it may not be, but thinking that is the case just makes me feel so much better, because I was like, it just makes things make sense. You know, when you just realise, you're like, oh my god, all of those things, like, it just makes sense. Why was I not helped back then? So, bit of backstory. Sorry, obviously this is going to be a really ranty video. No memento. I feel like I'm just sat here chatting to a friend. But yeah, so a bit of backstory. Basically, when I was 14, I stopped going to school. I basically said to my mum every morning, I was like, I can't do it, I can't go, I can't go, I can't go. In my mind, I had no idea why. Absolutely no idea why. I was just, my body was saying, no, don't go, don't go, don't go, don't go. Looking back now, it's because I did struggle academically. So yeah, at the time I was basically told by my GP that I had anxiety, which possibly could have been the case as well, but they would refer me to CBT. So I did that, I did CBT, and honestly it made me feel worse. Honestly, it made me feel like utter crap, because every session that I would go to, it was every week, every session I went to, they would ask me questions that I just didn't know the answer to. They would basic questions about my life and what's going on and things like that, but my only answer I remember was I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how long I was doing it for before they'd arranged for me to do a cognitive assessment, but even that showed that my cognitive abilities were quite low for my age, and they'd wrote kind of like a summary thing at the end of kind of things to support me. Obviously there was a section to my parents for things to do at home, and then a section to do at school. Not that I was really going, but like I say, looking back, none of that was implemented by either persons, whether that's my parents or the school. So yeah, I do kind of feel let down, not necessarily by my parents, but kind of by the therapists and stuff, or whoever they were that did the CBT, and even that assessment, I just don't know why 2 and 2 maybe weren't put together back then. And it does annoy me because, like I say, I've struggled to this day with a lot of things, like jumping between jobs and not learning to drive, because my brain, the only way I can put it into words, people don't understand why I don't drive. I'm almost 28 and obviously have a child, so it would seem the right thing to do, but my brain is so preoccupied, 99% of the time I'm thinking of 50 million things at once, that I cannot concentrate on driving. And if one thing goes wrong, so I slip the gear into the wrong gear at the wrong time or whatever, I'm oh, and I would take my feet off the pedals and my hand off the steering wheel, and I can't do this, even to the point that I said to my husband in the last few years, I'll do it if I can drive an automatic, because I feel like it's just one less thing to think about. I don't have to worry about the gears, I don't have to worry about whatever. We have got an automatic now, but I still physically cannot put myself behind that wheel. No, not a place that I'm at right now. So yeah, bit of a weird one. I know some people might watch this video and be like, I've thought that about you, maybe, and if you have, please don't feel like I would be offended if you were to say that. I am one of the least likely people to take offence at anything. And yeah, so anyway, I'm going to end this here. I think I asked on Instagram if anyone had any questions that I could chuck into the end of this video. I don't think, well, one that isn't a question, but that just says, keeping you freaking love the realness, so thank you. And the other question is, what is one thing you're excited about in the next year? I don't know. I don't know is the honest answer. There's nothing that I'm particularly excited about. One thing that I'm kind of maybe looking forward to, I guess, which sounds weird, but is to hearing if I can get an assessment this year, and for my daughter's assessment as well. She's having a paediatric assessment in September, so yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to those. Not in a weird way, but in a way of it might bring some relief, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I will talk about my daughter's assessment and things like that obviously when it happens, but I am planning on doing a 1 year update with her and kind of where she's at and things, because I feel personally my 1 year kind of review would be different to quite a lot of those that are already on YouTube. Yeah, obviously she is 15 months old now, almost, in 3 days time. She is 15 months, but I'm going to do it now anyway, but I will do that when she's actually awake, so I can kind of show you her and things like that. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. I hope you have, it sounds weird to say I hope you've enjoyed this video. I don't hope you've enjoyed it, but I hope you've maybe found it insightful to kind of, I don't know, hear about real life shit. It's not all rainbows and butterflies and fluffy unicorns. like a lot of social media will portray it to be. Parenting is fucking hard. It's hard, I feel like, no matter what age the child is, no matter what they're going through. And you as a parent are doing fucking amazing. Even if I don't know you, you are doing an amazing job. And just remember, if you get through the day, which it may feel like sometimes at 4 o'clock you're not going to, if you get through the day, you've won. That is all you've got to do, is just get through the day. And if that means that you have to stick on the TV or feed them chocolate, then do it, because survival is key in parenthood, I feel like. So yeah, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it again. I'm not going to say that. But yeah, if you are new to my channel and you like this kind of real talk kind of stuff, then please consider hitting the subscribe button, and I will see you all very soon, probably with a less serious video. Bye guys.
Give me love, give me all your love, give me all your love.